Welcome to the Orange Coast Unitarian Universalist Church on this Martin Luther King Sunday. My name is Jan Mabey. I am your worship associate today. I am joined by Beth Syverson, our Director of Music Ministries, and Karen Magoon Pearson, our Director of Religious Education for Children and Youth, in welcoming you this morning. Our minister, Reverend Sean Wilshire, is not leading the service today, but she has a special message for you.
Hello, Roomers and Zoomers. So I'm away this week, but my spirit is with you. For those of you who are new to the church, maybe you're just checking us out or curious about Unitarian Universalism, welcome. Glad you're here. You are in for a treat. This is a wonderful, friendly, fabulous, just all-around spectacular community. I hope you can get to know them, because it can be kind of tough to get to know a new community. But here's the thing, just hang in there, join in one of the activities, and before long, you'll get to know people, and then this becomes your church. Well, today we've planned a wonderful service for you, just blending music and word to bring together a helpful and hope-filled message. We hope it will feed your soul. So without further ado, let's go.
We would also like to recognize the many volunteers that have helped put together this service today. In addition, this morning, we are delighted to have Akbar Hussaini, a lifelong student of religion, philosophy, and science. Akbar's vocation as an engineer gives him systematic thinking abilities. He polished his entrepreneur zeal with an MBA from Case Western University. He owns and operates a manufacturing business that makes industrial pumps in Irvine, California. He also resides in Irvine with his three daughters and only one wife. Not to forget the loudest member of the family, Zazu, a pet conure parrot. He has been serving as the executive director of the Newport Mesa Irvine Interfaith Council since 2019, before which he served on the board of directors. He also teaches classes at the Islamic Center of Irvine, ICOI, for fundamental principles of Islam. On occasion, he's invited to mentor students or speak at local colleges, such as Cal State University Fullerton and the University of California in Irvine. His passion is trying to find answers to life's most difficult and unanswered questions at the confluence of religion, philosophy, and science. We respectfully recognize that our church property rests on a Hachiman and Tongva land. As Unitarian Universalists, we have many different beliefs, but we are one loving community. We are bound together not by a common set of rules or beliefs, but a covenant. A covenant is simply a promise that whatever our beliefs, we accept one another and encourage each other in spiritual growth. We affirm that all life has inherent value and that all existence is interconnected. We strive for justice and compassion in our deeds and relationships, and we are committed to creating a welcoming community without regard to the traits that sometimes divide people. To our roomers, we invite you to silence your cell phones. For our Zoomers, we invite you to say hello in the chat. And I want to extend a special welcome to visitors. If you're seeking a spiritual home, we hope that you will find it here. Later in the service, we will have an opportunity for you to introduce yourself if you'd like to do so. We begin our worship with the lighting of the chalice, and this morning I'd like to invite Adam Goldman to come up here to light our chalice. Adam has been a member of our church for over 20 years. He enjoys Scrabble, writing, and mental health advocacy. As he lights our chalice, let's say our unison affirmation together. Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. To dwell together in peace, to seek truth in love, and to help one another, this we affirm together.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to start off with an African American spiritual in honor of Martin Luther King Day. please rise in body or spirit, and let's start with getting our clapping going. Good. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, keep on talking, marching up to freedom land, marching up to freedom land. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on walking, talking, marching up to freedom land, marching up to freedom land. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around, turn me around, turn me around. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. I'm gonna keep on singing, keep on shouting, marching up to freedom land, marching up to freedom land.
Good morning, everyone. We're going to now have call to worship, which in Islam is called Adhan, and that is a reminder for the 5 daily prayers that Muslims offer. Now, if you're in a Muslim country, you're going to hear these played out from the minarets of masjids or mosques.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة. حي على الصلاة. حي على الفلاح. حي على الفلاح. الله
Morally, I was led to nonviolence because I felt that it was the best moral way to deal with the problem. We were seeking to establish a just society. And it was my feeling then, and it is my feeling now, that violence is certainly much more socially destructive, and it creates many more social problems than it solves. So I was led to nonviolence for deep moral reasons. And I turned to it because I felt that it was the morally excellent way to deal with the problem of racial injustice in our country.
There is no freedom, the wise man said, let justice roll down when the poor cry out for shelter and bread. Let justice roll down like a mighty stream. Oh, children, don't you get weary, walk together, believe in the dream. When the way gets rough, we'll make a new way. Let justice roll down like a mighty stream. Hatred will never drive out hate. Let love roll down. Remember, our hearts can make us great. Let love roll down like a mighty stream. Oh, children, don't you get weary, walk together, believe in the dream. When the way gets rough, we'll make a new way. And let your love roll down like a mighty stream. When brutality threatens our daughters and sons, let peace roll down. May our voices rise up louder than the guns. Let peace roll down like a mighty stream. Oh, children, don't you get weary, walk together, believe in the dream. When the way gets rough, we'll make a new way. And let peace roll down like a mighty stream. Step by step, one by one, let justice roll down. They can kill the prophet, but the dream lives on. Let justice roll down like a mighty stream. Oh, children, don't you get weary, walk together, believe in the dream. When the way gets rough, we'll make a new way. Let justice roll down like a mighty stream.
I turned to it because I felt that it was the morally excellent way to deal with the problem of racial injustice in our country.
Good morning. So when I was thinking about our topic today, about the confluence of religion and philosophy and science, which for those of you that don't know, my degree is actually in philosophy, politics, and economics, so I'm very into the interdisciplinary approach. But what I was thinking is so many great ideas coming out of all those disciplines, and of course when they work together as well. So this story is about, what do you do with an idea? One day, I had an idea. Where did it come from? Why is it here? I wondered. What do you do with an idea? At first, I didn't think much of it. It seemed kind of strange and fragile. I didn't know what to do with it, so I just walked away from it. I acted like it didn't belong to me. But it followed me. I worried what others would think. What would people say about my idea? I kept it to myself. I hid it away and I didn't talk about it. I tried to act like everything was the same as it was before my idea showed up. But there was something magical about my idea. I had to admit, I felt better and happier when it was around. It wanted food, it wanted to play. Actually, it wanted a lot of attention. It grew bigger, and we became friends. I showed it to other people, even though I was afraid of what they would say. I was afraid that if people saw it, they would laugh at it. I was afraid they would think it was silly. And many of them did. They said it was no good. They said it was too weird. They said it was a waste of time and that it would never become anything. And at first, I believed them. I actually thought about giving up on my idea. I almost listened to them. But then I realized, what do they really know? This is my idea, I thought. No one knows it like I do. And it's okay if it's different and weird and maybe a little crazy. So I decided to protect it, to care for it. I fed it good food, I worked with it, I played with it, but most of all, I gave it my attention. My idea grew and grew, and so did my love for it. I built it a new house, one with an open roof where it could look at the stars, a place where it could be safe to dream. I liked being with my idea. It made me feel more alive, like I could do anything. It encouraged me to think big and then to think bigger. It shared its secrets with me. It showed me how to walk on my hands. Because, it said, it is good to have the ability to see things differently. I couldn't imagine my life without it. Then one day, something amazing happened. My idea changed right before my very eyes. It spread its wings, took flight, and burst into the sky. I don't know how to describe it, but it went from being here to being everywhere. It wasn't just a part of me anymore. It was now a part of everything. And then I realized what you do with an idea. You change the world. Now we're going to be singing our children and their teachers out to the religious education classes after I light the children's chalice.
We hold you in our love as you go, as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of your precious love. We hold you in our love as you go.
So for reading and meditation, we'll focus our attention on these verses from Quran. In chapter 2, verse 162, it says, "Indeed, in the creation of the heavens and the earth, the alternation of the day and the night, the ships that sail the sea for the benefit of humanity, the rain sent down by Allah from the skies," which we have plenty of lately, thankfully, reviving the earth after its death, the scattering of all kinds of creatures throughout, the shifting of the winds and the clouds drifting between the heavens and the earth. In all of this are surely the signs for people of understanding. And then in chapter 88, from 17 to 21, the verses read as follows. Do they not reflect, or do they not ever reflect on camels, how they were masterfully created? And the sky, how it was raised high, and the mountains, how they were firmly set up, and the earth, how it was leveled out. So continue to remind all, O prophet, for your duty is only to remind. Now, the above verses are just a few of the several instances where God wants humanity to reflect on and understand the natural signs around him. With the perfect understanding of these signs evolves the true science. And this true science will make humanity more in awe of God and consider him worthy of worship. So Quran invites humanity to find God through the study of his signs, which is the science. An imperfect understanding of the same signs will lead to arrogance, which may make human beings think that God is irrelevant or even non-existent. So I just want us to think for a couple of moments on this. Thank you.
Please join me and sing this wonderful song by Unitarian Universalist composer Jim Scott. Let this be a house of peace, of nature and humanity, of sorrow and elation. Let this be our house, a haven for the healing, an open room for question and our inspiration. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of peace. Let this be a house of freedom, guardian of dignity and worth held deep inside us. Let this be our house, a platform for the free voice, where all our sacred differences here shall not divide.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I greet you with the Islamic greeting of peace for all of you. Thank you for inviting me again. Being invited a second time in less than a year is an honor. It is also a trust that Reverend Sean and you all have placed in me that I hope I can live up to. I'll try hard not to give in to complacency because I'm beginning to feel at home here. Last time I was here, it was my first time, and I related to you some of my personal experiences. But this time, the topic is a little more, let's say, conceptual or academic, which may bring out the geek in me. So fair warning for those who may nod off. I'm watching. Okay, wow. At the confluence of religion, philosophy, and science. What in the world is that? Or where in the world is that? Actually, it's not in this world, at least not yet. Audacious as it may be, it's a dream I have for humanity. As I mentioned when I was here the last time, I'm a student of history with a keen eye to learn lessons from it. One such attempt made it apparent how our collective river of thought bifurcated and then trifurcated over the course of history, and we benefited only from one of its branches, almost abandoning the others. Let me give you an analogy. We all know that a tree consists of three parts: the roots, trunk and its branches, and the leaves. Now imagine a tree where all nutrition is sucked up by the leaves. Hence, this implausible tree has very weak roots, trunks, and branches. However, it wants to have 1,000 leaves. Even if it conjures itself for a few fleeting moments, we know it will not survive the slightest wind, rain, or force of gravity. That is the implausible tree of humanity we have been nurturing. A tree where the emphasis is on the outward features and total disregard and neglect of the less visible parts of the singularity that the tree is. While our physical body is the most easily perceivable part of our being, we are much more than just our material selves. We also have a spirit and a soul. We all want a great body and know how to work towards it. But how much attention do we pay to the needs of the soul and the spirit? I think the spirit is like the root where life starts, and the trunk and its branches are the connection between the life source and its manifestation. Religion is the guidance sent by the God to help us succeed, and this religion is the source of nourishment for the spirit as it strengthens our connection with our Creator. Although soul has other components, the most significant part of our soul is our mind, which questions everything and demands answers and wisdom. It wants to connect with the spirit while finding the purpose and perfection of life. However, it is the material being that gets the most attention at the expense of others. Let's explore how we got to this implausible tree. Like most geeks, I have a favorite teacher who I have never met. Muhammad Iqbal is one of the greatest philosophers and thinkers of the 20th century. He was born in what is now Pakistan. Chief among his vast body of works is a revolutionary book on Islam called The Reconstruction of Religious Thought, where he laid bare how Muslims lost their way and gave up their lead in science and philosophy. Most, if not all, religions believe that the origin of human life is when the Creator puts His Spirit into an inanimate material. So even when we used to communicate in grunts, we knew intrinsically there was a connection with a higher entity who created us. And that higher entity loved us and wanted to give us guidance for a better life. So according to Quran, God taught us words and gave us language. He then sent his message through many messengers to guide us to what is good for us and keep us away from what is bad. Hence, most of the earliest teachings were thou shalt and thou shalt nots. Archaeologists inform us that the first language was developed about 50,000 years ago. And God sent his message through no less than 124,000 messengers, according to Islam. Every community had a messenger. They all taught about God. But the human mind could not comprehend the concept of a God without having some material representation. It was much easier to worship a golden calf that was built by the followers of Moses. Then, as human understanding progressed, a non-material, formless God was emphasized, which peaked in Islam, which adamantly denounced any physical representation or depiction of God. It was also about that time that record keeping had evolved. So we can find the earliest written Quran that matches exactly the Quran that is used by Muslims all over the world even today. The thou shalt and thou shalt nots of religions gave us the moral code which enabled living in large settlements easier. Once we developed agriculture, we no longer needed to roam around as hunters and gatherers and started living in cities and villages. That is when we started exercising our minds. The earliest overt philosophical inquiry is the Epic of Gilgamesh in 2150 BCE in Mesopotamia. Then came the rich traditions from Persia, China, and eventually Greece. I mention this to correct the misconception that philosophy started in Greece. Although the term philosophy is coined from Greek language, where it means the love, which is philos, of the wisdom, which is Sophia. This love of wisdom was certainly not limited to abstract thought. It was often about physical phenomena, which were followed up with experiments to prove or disprove. In fact, if you were to call Newton a great scientist to his face, he would have given you a confused look as to what you meant. Because he considered himself to be a natural philosopher. The term science came to use in mid-19th century. Now, something strange began to happen with the advent of science, which originated in philosophy. We were so mesmerized by the physical comforts provided by science that we focused all our attention and resources to our material self. How could we resist falling in love with cars, airplanes, and air conditioners? Did religion give us refrigerators? Did philosophy give us electricity? Well, then why bother with them? In fact, religion as practiced then was an impediment to progress, especially when Galileo was persecuted or when Servetus was burnt at the stake in Switzerland. So now the philosophers and scientists started viewing religion as an adversary. Then the teenager that science was rebelled against the parent, philosophy. It distanced itself from philosophy and boasted about empirical proofs. Science also knew that its fan base was growing by leaps and bounds. Never mind the fact that science also uses abstract theories called hypotheses and then uses empirical evidence to prove or disprove it. We still use theories of gravity, relativity, etc. Well, it took mature adults to settle things down with science. By exposing its limitations when Einstein turned all Newtonian physics on its head. Quantum physics further deflated the ego of science by putting everything in doubt with the uncertainty principle. But by then, humankind was so deeply drowned in materialism that we stopped paying attention altogether. We literally could not see beyond the 10 feet to our televisions, or now, just a few inches beyond our nose with our smartphones. The result is today we have all the material comforts, yet the more we have, the more meaningless life seems to be. We quickly learned about the hollowness of this, and we are restless inside. Growing cases of mental illness, stress, and suicides are a measure of the price we pay for materialism. Yet it is this materialism we use in denying the existence of God Himself. The over-reliance on empiricism dictated that everything that we cannot see, hear, or sense cannot exist. If only they truly understand science, they will know that the faculties that they rely on are extremely limited in their scope. A dog has better hearing range of frequencies than a man. The wavelength of light ranges from picometers, which is 1/1,000,000th of a meter, to kilometers. And of that range, we can only see between 400 to 700 nanometers in wavelength, which is a fraction of 1%. With such narrow visibility, we are arrogant enough to declare that God does not exist since we cannot see Him, or since He does not fit neatly into that tiny peephole of perceivable faculties that God gave us. Muhammad Iqbal criticized science by saying that we must not forget that what is called science is not a single systemic view of reality. It is a mass of sectional views of reality, fragments of total experience which don't seem to fit together. Natural science deals with matter, with life, and with mind. But the moment you ask question how matter, life, and mind are mutually related, you begin to see the sectional character. Now, you may think that I'm more critical of science than the other disciplines. I have a reason for it. But I'm not against science. As an engineer, as an owner of a manufacturing business, I make a living based on science. As I mentioned earlier, religion should be held responsible for persecuting scientists and alienating science, because they did it. This mutual hatred is based on insecurity, which comes from poor understanding of their own discipline. If Muslims who persecuted Al-Razi in Baghdad understood that the call for science and scientific research given in Quran, they would applaud him instead of condemning him. It is no surprise that hatred and condemnation did not help religion much, as it had to concede ground to the overwhelming success of science. However, scientific advances seemingly were made at the expense of other areas. Our entire economic machinery is tilted in favor of science and materialism. Fewer and fewer students want to learn about arts and humanities. Funding was abundant for science, but lacking for the others. We have reached a point where we know exactly how to make our bodies feel good, but have no clue how to meet even the most basic needs of our spirit and our soul. We try to fill this void in our souls with either deviancies and craziness sometimes, or escape with drugs or alcohol. Identifying the problem is the most important step in trying to fix it. Once we agree that this imbalance is not sustainable, the steps we need to take become obvious. We need to redirect resources to fund research and development in other areas until we come close to some form of parity with science. Religion needs to become relevant again in this material world. That may require reinterpretation of scriptures to be inclusive, not exclusive. It needs to go beyond thou shalt and thou shalt nots. It needs to nourish the spirit and soothe the soul. Similar gains need to be made in philosophy to take it from obscurity to a more central role in human development. Disowned by its offspring, the science, philosophy is reduced to rhetoric, polemics that are of little value. It lost the promise of Nietzsche's Übermensch or Iqbal's vision of Khudi, which can loosely be translated as the perfection of self. Iqbal said about philosophy, the spirit of philosophy is one of free inquiry. It suspects all authority. Iqbal was no less direct when it came to relationship between philosophy and religion when he said, philosophy no doubt has jurisdiction to judge religion, but what is to be judged is of such a nature that it will not submit to the jurisdiction of philosophy except on its own terms. While sitting in judgment on religion, philosophy cannot give religion an inferior place among data. Religion is not a departmental affair. It is neither mere thought, nor mere feeling, nor mere action. It is an expression of the whole human being. John Henry Newman keenly suggested that philosophy is the science of sciences. Philosophy ought to be the lens through which we order and identify the inherent relationships among all the sciences. These quotes from great thinkers give us hope that there is a place that we can arrive at where we as humanity have progressed in all three of these areas. And that is the place I call the confluence of religion, philosophy, and science. And what can we hope to find at that confluence? Harmony. As Iqbal quoted, religion and science may discover hitherto unsuspected mutual harmonies. I tend to believe that he underestimated the extensity and intensity of this harmony. It will be harmony between human body, soul, and spirit, and the results could be so spectacular that they can easily be confused with utopia, except they will be real, tangibly real. Some of these possibilities are, we may realize that there is a diminishing return to excessive material acquisition, so we may become less greedy. That could result in a more equitable distribution of wealth. We will have more avenues to fulfill our spiritual needs. Science will no longer be sectional in character, and philosophy will help us develop holistic science. For example, my blood pressure medicine may not destroy my kidneys. We may recognize other dependencies and work together against this inherent built-in selfishness. We may lose the zero-sum mindset. We may recognize that exploitation, whether of people or nature, is not sustainable. We may find purpose in life that's beyond just material acquisition. Now, these benefits are limited only by my own imagination. It could be truly beyond our wildest dreams. Islam does not believe in reincarnation. I personally do not want to be born again, because I think the pain and suffering of one lifetime is enough. But if I would be granted a wish to be born during that era of human glory, I would love to be a part of God's vision of human perfection, where our spirits, our souls, and bodies all flourish. And with that beautiful image, I conclude. Thank you.
deliciously warm. When you engage, you'll be the change. Let's arrange to be the change.
Unitarian Universalist congregations are fully self-supporting, meaning that members and friends raise all the funds for the operating budget, ministries, and programs of the church. We are ever grateful for your gifts of time, treasure, and talent. OCUUC amplifies that spirit of generosity by sharing half of the plate we receive with an organization that shares our values. This month, we are sharing our plate with Stand Up for Kids OC. According to Stand Up for Kids OC's website, there are 4.2 million homeless youth in America. That's a dangerous place to be. Within the first 48 hours, 22% are approached by someone soliciting drugs, and 1 in 3 are lured into prostitution, often trading sex for food or a place to sleep. You can learn more about how Stand Up for Kids helps this vulnerable population at standupforkids.org. There are multiple ways in which you can support the church and this organization. You can mail a check, you can go through our website, or you can use an app called Vanco Mobile. The choice is yours. All the information is on our website should you need it. And as always, thank you for your generosity.
Share the bounties of the earth, and everyone is free. we are going to sing our offertory response song. This is a song that puts our intentions into words and expresses our gratitude for the many gifts we share. Gather together, we gather as one, for peace, love, and justice for everyone. We give from our hearts to show that we care. We can change lives with what we share.
Now is that time when we honor the important events in our lives. You're invited, one and all, whether you're a member, a friend, or a visitor, to participate in our weekly rituals of joys and sorrows. So, let's take a deep breath. Perhaps you have come here today holding something close to your heart, moments from the last days or hours that have struck you at your core. If you'd like to honor such a profound joy or sorrow, you are invited to do so. If you are a roomer, you're invited to come forward to light your candle. If you'd like to share your joy or sorrow, you can write it out on a slip of paper provided to you and hand it to me. If you're a Zoomer, you're invited to write your joy or sorrow in the chat. And once the roomers are done lighting the candles, I will read all the joys and sorrows shared out loud as Marilyn Giss lights a candle for the Zoomers. As the music is played, I invite you to silently offer healing or celebration as you feel called and according to your own beliefs. So, roomers, you're ready. You can play music. Okay. So we'll start with our Zoomers. Donald M. Please light a candle of sorrow. I have lost both of my brothers within the last year, David in July and Daniel last week. Lori K. is remembering my mother, Jean Elizabeth, on her birthday today. She passed 23 years ago. So, okay. Now, Donna M. has both a joy and a sorrow. Her sorrow is that her mother passed away before Christmas. But her joy is that she had 95 loving years on this earth and passed peacefully. I am blessed. Erin Neustadt has a candle for hope and prayers. My cousin Howard, as he undergoes treatment for metastatic lung cancer. I'm so sorry. Dolly D. has a candle of sorrow. My tax man of 40 plus years has passed. Best advice. Man event. I'm not sure if I'm reading that correct. Best advice man ever. I think that's what it says. Sorry about that. Peggy P. has a joy. And her joy is that her niece invited her to help pick out a wedding dress yesterday. She said, as a mother of 3 sons, I rarely get to enjoy girly experiences, and it was fun. Okay. So, and then, we have some more. Thank you very much. Craig P. has both a joy and a sorrow. And the sorrow is for the news of 60,000 Chinese deaths due to COVID-19 since December 1st, 22. Wow. And the joy is for the Ukrainians' fight for freedom. Yay. And then, may I say this right, Biquan? Bequin? Beatrin L. She has a joy. Next weekend is Lunar New Year. After being impacted by COVID for 3 years, China is finally opening up and millions can unite with their families. I wish everyone in China impacted by this wave of COVID stays safe and healthy. Thank you. Okay, let us hold in love all the joys and celebrations and all the hurts and sadness, both spoken and silent. Let our joys remind us to be thankful for our concerns remind us for hope, and our joys remind us to connect. Let all these moments remind us that we are not alone. I'd like to invite Marilyn up, and please join her in a spirit of prayer.
Drop my earring. This is thou. I smile when I say it. Thou meaning all that is inside me and outside me, sometimes a tree, sometimes mountains, or the running doe or the leaping heart of a finch held between my palms, or a child's hand no bigger than a tulip flower, with no space in it yet for fear resting in my own. May we all be held by someone, by something like hands, enfolding the pulse and flutter of a bird, gently, carefully, and slowly open. Thou, let it be. Blessed be and amen.
Let us join together as we extinguish the flame of our chalice and say together, we extinguish our chalice, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Thank you for joining us this morning. We are a congregation made up of people who all believe differently. And yet, when we come together, we make up one loving community. We need not think alike to love alike. Your guest or a visitor or someone who hasn't yet been known to us, I invite you to become a part of this beloved community. If you're a roomer and so inclined, please stand and Beth will bring you a microphone over so that the Zoomers can hear you introduce yourselves and where you're from. And to our Zoomers, we encourage you to write your name in the chat so we know where you're from. So do we have, okay.
Hello, Zemfira. My name is Zemfira.
Okay.
Zemfira is one of our Ukrainian refugees staying at our shelter here, so she's a guest today.
Thank you. Welcome, Zakira. Welcome. We have one here in the front. In the back. Right there and two in the back. We're everywhere.
Hi, I'm Jared. This is my wife, Lauren. We're from Garden Grove, and we came here with our son, Robert, who's 3.
Well, thank you. Welcome. Glad you could make it. Okay. Is anybody else? No? Okay. Well, welcome. We're always glad to have visitors. So if you'd like to know more about our church, including programming for our youth and children, please contact us at hello@ocuuc.org, and we will help you get connected. In addition, we invite you to sign up for our weekly email called The Blast at blast@ocuuc.org. We want everyone to feel a part of this beloved community. So please reach out and we'll help you get connected. After the benediction, we'll have a short period where everyone can wave and say hello, and after that, you can choose to be put into Zoom breakout groups for 20 minutes or so. That's those Zoomers. We invite you to check in and get to know the people in your group and welcome any visitors. So we do have a shelter update. A lot of people aren't aware that we still have people living here. And so we just wanted to give you an update from our shelters from Tatiana Hauser. 2022 was a very special year for us. Our refugee shelter helped 47 Ukrainian refugees, plus one happy cat and one happy dog. They found safety and settled in. 16 are still with us, including 6 young children. And the rest are living their American dreams in Costa Mesa, Newport Beach, Los Angeles, South Carolina, and Florida. I hope you enjoy the collage of all these beautiful faces, people we helped. They will always remember OCUUC with much gratitude as a very special place. Okay. And for our announcements today, we have the Nonfiction Book Club meeting at 12:30 to 2:30. And then just so you all know, there's an OCUU moviegoers on January 18th at 3:40 p.m. They're going to be watching A Man Called Otto. It's at the Regency South Coast Village, and you got information on moviegoers at ocuuc.org. And the rest of our information is up there. You know, if you guys like to join us on anything, feel free. And then our benediction.
Well, before I start the benediction, can we give a big applause to Jan, Beth, Steve, and all these wonderful singers? Thank you very much. You really make this program so beautiful. It's incredible. Thank you. Please join me in a short supplication. Dear beloved God, we as humanity are in dire need of your guidance. So please guide us so we can deal with the problems that we face on many fronts. Allow us the ability to overcome these problems in a way that's best for us and others, and make us learn our lessons so we do not repeat the behavior that got us into these situations. O merciful God, please make this world a better place for us and our children. Give us the wisdom to realize that war and fighting does not solve problems in the long run, and to recognize that we as humanity will sink or swim together. Dear God, please make us understand that we cannot turn a blind eye to justice anywhere against anyone in the world, because the only sustainable peace comes from justice for everyone. Give us the courage to speak out against the injustices, whether those are in Ukraine, India, Yemen, or our own homeland against minorities or women. Dear God, distribute from your immeasurable love so we may love our family, friends, neighbors, close and across the globe. Above all, God, give us the ability to love ourselves first, and then let that love overflow from within so we can all live in abundance of love. Amen.
Let us go out and all do our part. Let us go out, bring joy to each heart. Let us go out with indifference destroy. Let us go out with joy. Let us go out and all do our part. Let us go out, bring joy to each heart. Let us go out with indifference destroy. Let This service is over. Let our service continue.